Ever wonder how a criminal turns their ill-gotten gains into clean money? Let's take a moment to ponder that. Imagine you're a high-profile criminal. You've got stacks of cash piled high from your latest illicit venture. But there's a problem. You can't just go around spending this money without raising eyebrows, so what do? You launder it. Now you may be thinking, isn't laundering something you do with clothes? Well, yes, but in the world of crime, money laundering is a whole different game. It's the process of making illegally gained proceeds appear legal. It's about turning dirty money into clean money, and it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. In essence, money laundering is like a magic trick. It's all about misdirection and illusion. The criminal takes the dirty money, runs it through a series of complex transactions to confuse anyone who might be on their trail, and voila! The money comes out the other side as clean as a whistle, ready to be spent without any link to its criminal origins. But why is understanding money laundering so important? Well, it's not just about crime dramas and thrillers. Money laundering has a profound impact on our economy. It fuels crime and corruption, undermines our financial institutions, and can even destabilize entire countries. And here's another twist. It's not just criminals who are involved. Sometimes, it's the people and institutions we trust. Banks, financial advisors, even governments can get caught up in this tangled web. So as we delve into this topic, we're not just exploring the underbelly of the criminal world. We're also shining a light on the dark corners of our financial system, understanding how it can sometimes be manipulated for nefarious purposes. Now, who's ready to dive into the world of cleaning money minus the soap and water? Imagine having a closet full of dirty clothes, but instead of clothes, it's money. Now, let's untangle this messy load of laundry, shall we? The money laundering process has 3 stages: placement, layering, and integration. It's like doing laundry, but instead of soap and water, they use banks and businesses. First up, placement. This is the stage where the dirty money, earned from illicit activities, is introduced into the legitimate financial system. It's like tossing those dirty socks into the washing machine. But instead of socks, it's a heap of cash. And instead of a washing machine, it's a bank or business. The launderers might split up large amounts of cash into less conspicuous smaller sums that are less likely to draw attention, or they might purchase a range of assets that can later be sold. This is the riskiest stage for the launderer because large amounts of cash are pretty suspicious, and banks are required to report high-value transactions. Then we have layering. This is the equivalent of your washing machine's spin cycle. Here, the goal is to make the original source of the dirty money as hard to trace as possible. The launderers might move the funds around, purchase and sell assets, change the money's form, or use complex layers of transactions to confuse the trail. Think of it as a chaotic money dance, where the money is twirled around so much, you can't tell where it started. Finally, we have integration. This is the final rinse and dry. The clean money is now reintroduced back into the legitimate economy, where it can be used openly without suspicion. It's like wearing those clean, freshly laundered clothes out in public. The launderer might invest this money into real estate, luxury assets, or legitimate businesses. So there you have it. The money's clean, ironed, and ready to wear again. But remember, we're just the tour guide here, not the operator. Ever tried hiding something you didn't want your parents or partner to find? That's what criminals do in the placement stage. Imagine you're a criminal, and you've just made a hefty sum from, let's say, an illegal deal. Now you can't just waltz into a bank and deposit your ill-gotten gains without raising some eyebrows. So what do? You place your money into the financial system carefully, covertly, and creatively. This stage, my friends, is called placement. It's the first step in the money laundering process. The idea is to get the money into the financial system without catching the attention of those pesky law enforcement agencies. Now there are several ways to do this. One way is through a method called smurfing. No, it's not about turning blue and living in mushroom houses. It's about breaking down large transactions into many smaller ones, small enough to avoid detection. Imagine making hundreds of tiny deposits instead of one gigantic one. It's a tedious process, but hey, it works. Another common method is through the use of cash-intensive businesses. Ever wonder how that little corner store always seems to be in business, despite hardly ever having any customers? It could be a front for money laundering. The business takes in the dirty money as part of its daily takings and reports it as legitimate earnings. Crafty, right? Foreign investments and transactions also provide a handy avenue for placement. Money can be moved across borders with ease, often without anyone batting an eyelid. It's like playing a game of hide and seek with the authorities. And sometimes, The money doesn't even need to enter the banking system at all. High-value goods like art, jewelry, and real estate can be bought with dirty money, effectively hiding it in plain sight. And voila! The dirty money has taken its first bath, but it's not clean just yet. Remember those magic tricks where something disappears and reappears as something else? Well, in the world of money laundering, there's a similar act of legerdemain happening. It's called the layering stage, and it's where the money that's just been cleaned in the washing machine of illegal transactions gets a whole new look. Let's imagine our dirty money as a scruffy little mutt, fresh off the streets. It's had a wash, sure, but it's still recognizable. What it needs now is a trip to the doggy salon for a good grooming, a snazzy new collar, maybe even a cute little bandana. That's what the layering stage is all about, giving the money a complete makeover so it can strut down the street without anyone suspecting it's the same scruffy mutt from before. So how does this work? Well, the money launderer might start by moving the money around. They could transfer it between different accounts across various banks and even countries. They could invest it in high-value items like property, art, or jewelry, then sell those items to turn the money into a different form. Or they might use it to buy and sell stocks, or to gamble at high stakes, or even to fund other illegal activities. The possibilities are almost endless, and the more complex and convoluted the transactions, the harder it is to trace the money back to its original source. But here's the important part. At every step of the way, the money is changing. It's changing hands, it's changing forms, it's changing locations. And with each change, it gets further and further away from its dirty past. It's like our scruffy mutt is not just getting a new collar and bandana, but a whole new identity. It's not a street dog anymore, now it's a pedigreed pooch with papers and a pedigree to match. And to the untrained eye, it's almost impossible to tell the difference. And just like that, our money has had its little makeover, but the process isn't over yet. Ever welcomed a long-lost friend back into your life? That's how clean money feels on its return. The final stage of our money laundering journey is known as integration. This is where our money, now scrubbed clean and looking all shiny and new, re-enters the legitimate economy. Here it's ready to be spent without raising any eyebrows. It's a bit like having been away on a long trip and coming back home to your familiar surroundings. Except, in this case, home is the mainstream economy. And your trip was a secretive, roundabout journey through various financial systems designed to confuse and misdirect. There are a few different ways this integration can happen. One method is through property investment. The launderer buys real estate using the clean money and then sells it. The proceeds from the sale are then further distanced from their original illegal source. Another method is through legitimate business operations. The launderer might use the clean money to start a business or invest in an existing one. The business then operates as normal, generating profits that are completely above board. Yet another way is through the stock market. The launderer invests the clean money in shares, bonds, or other financial products. When they sell these investments, the money they receive is considered legitimate. And let's not forget about simple spending. The launderer can use the clean money to buy luxury goods, travel, or anything else they fancy. The more they spend, the further the money moves away from its illegal origins. Of course, all of these methods require careful planning and execution. The launderer must avoid leaving a trail that could lead back to the original crime. And they must also avoid arousing suspicion with unusually large transactions or sudden changes in spending habits. But if they manage to do all this successfully, then the dirty money has been laundered. It has been made to appear as though it came from a legitimate source and can now be used without fear of detection. And there you have it. The dirty money has returned home all shiny and new. Now let's play detective, shall we? Imagine you're in a crime novel, and you're the sharp-eyed investigator. You're looking for signs of money laundering, a crime that's as slippery as a bar of soap. So, what are some common signs that ordinary people and authorities look out for? Well, first off, we've got unusually large cash transactions. Money launderers often deal in big bucks. So if someone is making frequent large cash deposits or withdrawals, it might be a red flag. Now don't go suspecting everyone who buys a fancy car or a house, but it's something to keep in mind. Next, rapid movement of funds. Money launderers love to keep money moving. They might swiftly transfer cash between different accounts, often across various banks or even countries. It's like a game of hot potato. They don't want to hold on to the dirty money for too long. Also, keep an eye out for overcomplicated transactions. Money launderers often create complex webs of transactions to confuse anyone who might be watching. If a business transaction seems unnecessarily convoluted, it might be a cover-up for something more sinister. Then there's the case of smurfing. No, it's not about tiny blue creatures, but about breaking down large transactions into many smaller ones to avoid detection. It's like trying to sneak an elephant into a room by bringing it in piece by piece. Lastly, businesses that deal largely in cash are often used in money laundering. Think laundromats, car washes, or casinos. They have a high cash flow, making it easier to sneak in some dirty money. And there you have it, some common signs of money laundering. But remember, these are just indicators, not definitive proof. Don't go accusing your local car wash of criminal activity without solid evidence. So, stay alert, stay curious, and keep asking questions. Keep those eyes peeled, and who knows, you might just crack the next big case. All fun and games aside, money laundering is a serious crime with real-world consequences. We've been talking about money laundering in a lighthearted way, but it's important to remember that it's a grave issue. It's not just about dirty money getting a makeover and finding its way back into society. It's a crime that affects us all in ways we may not even realize. First of all, money laundering fuels other types of crime. It's the lifeblood of drug trafficking, fraud, corruption, and even terrorism. Without a way to clean their illicit gains, these criminals would struggle to operate. In essence, money laundering enables them to continue wreaking havoc on society. Secondly, money laundering can destabilize economies. When large amounts of money are laundered through a country, it can distort the value of its currency and create economic instability. This can lead to recessions, job losses, and a decrease in living standards. Moreover, money laundering can undermine the integrity of financial institutions. Banks and other financial institutions are often used as conduits for money laundering. This can erode trust in these institutions, leading to a loss of confidence in the financial system as a whole. And let's not forget the victims of the crimes that generate this dirty money. Each dollar laundered represents a dollar stolen from someone else. From people who've worked hard for their money, from those who've been defrauded, or from societies that have been deprived of resources due to corruption. Finally, tackling money laundering is costly. Billions are spent worldwide each year on efforts to detect and prevent it. These are resources that could be better spent on education, healthcare, and other public services. So, while we've had our fun today, remember, money laundering is no laughing matter. It's a crime that harms us all, and fighting it should be a priority for everyone. So, we've taken a whirlwind tour of the murky world of money laundering. We've seen how dirty money goes for a wash, getting a makeover before it sachets back into society. We've dissected the money laundry cycle, understanding how $1 million question can lead to $1 billion problem. But why does all this matter? Because money laundering isn't just a financial crime, it's a social issue that affects us all. Its tentacles reach deep into our economies. It fuels crime, corruption, and inequality, and it undermines our trust in financial systems. So, how can we combat it? By staying informed, being vigilant, and understanding the signs of money laundering. It's not just about keeping our money clean, it's about maintaining the integrity of our societies and our economies. Keep your money clean, folks. And remember, the only laundering we endorse is the one involving soap and water.